My name is Tobias Hagedorn, coming from Germany. I'm very much interested in reading, if I have time, which is scarce, unfortunately. And my relation to PKU is that I have a beautiful life that I fell in love with some nearly 30 years ago, and I'm still in. Despite some rumor, I'm not sponsored by Coca-Cola, but I'm kind of Coca-Cola addicted. When Christine talked to me about having PKU, no, please get prepared for a laugh. That was really funny, because we have just met a few days earlier. It was really early when we have just seen each other. I saw her, I fell in love. We dated just something like 3 days. And she had to go on holiday together with her parents. And when she left, where we met, when she left for these 2 weeks, she said, so I have to go now, we won't meet each other for 2 weeks, so hope to see you then when I'm back. But before I leave, I have to tell you something. Quote, I have PKU, and if we once in future wants to have children, that's not that simple, end of quote. And with these words she left. And I was sitting there like, what? She's talking about children. I'm just into dating. Did I miss something? What happened here? And what the heck is PKU? Phenyl what? I have no clue. But I have had 2 weeks time. And I'm a curious guy. If you give me something that I don't understand, I dive into it. So that was back in times when there was no internet. Some of you may remember these days, some of you may say, I can't imagine no internet. There were libraries. So for 2 weeks, I was 5 days a week in the library. I know the people working there by name still. This old lady with the glasses, typical librarian, really typical. She brought all the books to me, medical journals, medical books. She researched, do we find something on phenyl keto what? and so I tried to learn about PKU, and when Christine came back and we dated again and we met each other again, I was so proud how much I knew about PKU. It took me 15 minutes to understand I don't know anything. I don't know anything. But that was really the story when she came up to me, and that was really something, because she was very much confident, and looking back, I think she just tested me. What would be his reaction? Would he come back after my holiday? Would we still be in touch? Or would he say, I'm afraid, I don't know, I don't want? I think she just tested me. And some days later, I remember that I asked her, well, if you would meet somebody who has a problem with your PKU, what would you say? What would be your reaction? And she said to me, you're right. Someone has an issue. Not me. And that's an attitude that her parents gave her when she grew up. People always say that there's food that is forbidden in PKU. That's not really true. You can have everything, even fish or meat, but just a small amount, and the rest of the day you stay hungry. Not cool. But Christine has never learned that's forbidden. She has learned to take decisions. So she grew up like PKU is part of my life, but it's not the center of my life. It's something that is there. So we both, Christine and me, we are very grateful for her parents, my parents-in-law, for a great job that they have done. And I think many of the PKUers that have been grown up, even if there were struggles when they were teenagers or whatever with their parents about compliance, and you should have your amino acids, get away, come on. Yeah. But looking back, they are all grateful for the great job that the parents have done in these days. How to react when somebody tells you I'm a PKU? I think if you are interested in a person, you are first of all not interested in whether it's a PKU person, PKU patient or not. I think when you're interested in a person, then you are curious about the personality, about that human being. And I think that is true for everybody, whether having PKU or not having PKU. So why changing something just because there's a PKU? Why not just be curious about this individual, this great person over there that looks great, that is intelligent, that is funny, that is whatever I'm looking for, and then tells me, by the way, I have PKU. I'm a phenylketonuria patient. Why? Okay, I'm curious about you. So if PKU belongs to you, what is PKU? I'm curious about it. So just ask the question. But when you have the feeling, now it's probably a little bit too much of asking. The time is come when explaining PKU is no longer fun. And step back and let go and discuss something else, and it will come up naturally. So why bothering about it? There's no strategy. It's just the individual that is interesting. The disease journey, for the time that I know PKU, which is something like 30 years, changed tremendously. Back then, in these days, there was not that much low protein food available, so there was very much creativity needed. It was very much doing kitchen work. It consumed plenty of time. Given that over the years more and more low protein food products have been developed and marketed, things have been more simplified, but still remain the very same challenge, in fact, because living with PKU from my perspective as a husband, from my observer perspective, is something that you will never get rid of. You have that in your mindset since you have been born, and 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and all the years you live. But yes, things change because there are more and more patients, and patient organizations are existing, and people come together and join the community. And that is something that really helped change the landscape and really helped change navigating PKU, because you're not longer alone, and that's really something. That's really something to have people who understand you, who speak the same language. Even by eye contact, they know exactly from each other what's important now. What are you feeling? It's like feeling seen, being seen by brothers from another mother or sisters, however you take it, and that's super important because it's a rare disease. Mostly you have not the next PKU patient next door. Usually that's not the case. So once you have the opportunities to meet at conferences, meetings, even nowadays online webinars, whatever, it always takes some time to come back together, give a hug, renew friendships, find new friends. So community is very much, that has really changed the navigating of the disease in daily life of a patient. I got involved in patient advocacy more or less by accident. Christina and me, we have been to a meeting of the German PKU Association for young adults. And she's the PKU patient. I was her partner, not her husband these days, but her partner. I was being with her, and there was one of the board members of the German PKU Association who was responsible for the young adults. That was his task in the organization. And he said, I have to step down for, I can't remember the reason. So he was looking for a successor. And he looked at Christine, he looked at my wife, because he suggested she could be the candidate. And she said, no, that's not my business. I'm not the one who is talking in front of people. I'm not the one who is creating strategies. That's not me. And I thought, good spoken, very perfectly. And then she gave me a kick and she said, but that could be you, don't you think? But and there's something, whenever your wife tells you something, men out there, whenever your wife tells you something, just go for it. And that effectively changed my mind, my world. 27 years ago now, and still I am in.
Wow.
I'm a proud father of two grown-up kids by now. One is 25, the other one is 19, so that's plenty of time ago when Christine and me decided it's time to have to form a family, to have children. I really must say I never ever had any doubt that she would make it, because she has such a strong personality. If she wants something, she goes for it, whatever it takes. And I quite vividly remember that it was in the days when there was fax machines. When we said, okay, probably it's now the best moment to have kids, we sent a fax to her dietitian and we said, we want to form a family. Can we make an appointment for setting up the diet, the more strict diet, and getting things sorted and prepared so we can bring the Phe levels down? And we sent that via fax. 5 minutes later the fax came back and the dietitian said, no problem, have fun, smiley. And I thought, wow, great answer. And I asked Christine, what were your latest Phe levels? And it was something like, I have to recalculate that in micromoles, something like 720 micromoles, 900 micromoles, 1200 micromoles. Way too high for getting pregnant. Way too high. So I was like, I can't understand, because my knowledge is it should be something like 240 micromoles and lower. Okay, so some few weeks later we met the dietitian and I said, can you please explain to me? And the dietitian said, look, since when do you know your wife? I said, 6 years. She said, I know her since 24 years. So if she has something in her mind that she wants to achieve, and she comes to me and says, I'm pregnant, it takes me 2 days to bring her levels down, because she will be coping. So that's a lucky situation that I have had. Christine is such a strong personality and doesn't struggle. She just goes for it. It's that I want it, I get it. That's the one side. So that's not particular true for everyone. Many struggle really to bring the Phe levels down, and it's hard and it's really, really difficult. But from a partner's, from a father-to-be perspective, I did not recognize anything back that time, but some years later, looking back, and there was a particular situation that made me aware of that, looking back I recognized how helpless effectively I was in that situation. I didn't recognize that during the pregnancies. And the situation was that there is some literature out there that people with PKU are not that good in mathematics. And when I saw my two kids growing up, going to school, I saw the one was quite good in mathematics, the other one was, let's say, not that good. Truly the opposite. And I recognized me asking myself, probably some Phe levels have probably been too high during the pregnancy and something has been left over. But the very same moment I recognized, what a stupid thought. What a stupid thought. That is rubbish. Why are you thinking something like that? And then I looked a little bit back and I recognized I was very active supporting Christine, so during the pregnancy. So in the evening we calculated how much Phe is left, what can you have, Phe levels increase or Phe tolerances increase during pregnancy, how much do you have to take to get your protein in, how many milligrams of milk should you have to get that sorted. I was super active in doing that. Looking back, I think I just was super active because that was my way to cope with the helpless situation that I had. Christine was in control. I was not. She could decide what to eat. To help her baby or to harm her baby. I could not. If she decided to eat meat and harm her baby, what could I do? I was not 24 hours around. So I think looking back some years later, I recognized how helpless I felt in this situation, to have no control at all. And that is really something, to have no control on something that is so important, like forming a family and bringing a baby. And I clearly remember when we decided it's time to have a baby, and we got the go from the hospital, from the dietitian within this few minutes. Christine brought the Phe levels down. I was not afraid of Christine making it through the pregnancy, but I was something like concerned about how quick will it work. Well, you never know, it may take 3 months, 12 months, 2 years, you never know. And it's really the opposite of something like romantic, when your wife says, okay, this is the moment, it could work, the Phe level is good, tonight. Sorry, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. So that was really something that I was really a little bit concerned about. We were lucky in both times. It took us 3 months, and she came back with a smile and said, look here, little picture, got it. So that was really great, but that was really something that I was really afraid about. What if it doesn't work immediately, quick enough, and the stress comes that he has to keep her levels down, stay continuously on that super strict diet, and it doesn't work, and the stress kicks in. That was what I was really afraid about, but fortunately it didn't happen. Yes, both are super healthy, both are great. Now the 25-year-old is since 1 year she's living on her own together with her boyfriend, which I can tell everybody is a relief. For her, for us, it's perfect. It's again something like losing control, but in a positive way. It's not losing control, it's giving up control and passing on control. Live your life. We give you roots, we give you wings. Do it. The 19-year-old has just done her school degree and is now looking for what to do in future. So needs a little bit kicking asses to continue and to move forward, but will be great. I'm super happy with both of them. Meeting Christine changed my life. It changed my life, but this is now a personal story, and again, that is not true for everybody. But when I met Christine, as I said, I fell in love with her. I usually say when I met PKU, she was 16-year-old, cute girl. I immediately fell in love with her, and still here I am. So that's how I met PKU, and I met Christine, and she really changed my life. I wasn't aware about that, but some years later she brought me to the German PKU Association, which I served 25 years on a voluntary basis before I said, okay, it's enough. And 2 years later they came back to me and said, do you want to be our full-time employed? So now her PKU is my profession. So probably if I wouldn't have met Christine, I definitely would not sit here, but I would definitely have another job. I would definitely have a total different life. The complex thing with us is to manage that PKU does not rule our all-day life, because that's what you want to prevent as a PKU patient. But it's my profession, and I work home-based. So from time to time we must say, okay, stop, no work, no PKU talk, something different, something private, nothing at all about PKU, because that would keep her into the loop every second, every minute of the day, and that's what we do not want. So that's sometimes a little bit the tricky thing, but other than that, she really turned my life upside down. And when I look at it from other perspectives, if I look into our community and the other couples that I see there, I think being a husband of a PKU patient is something that, yeah, can be a challenge, because you are more than just a boyfriend or a husband. You are kind of a mental health trainer. You are kind of a chef. You need to learn cooking. That is great. I know many men who can't cook. I can. You need to become someone who helps organizing things. Organization is key in living with PKU. sometimes you must just shut up and say, it's okay. Like situation like we go on a weekend travel for 2 nights, and she comes along with a rucksack full of low protein food. I say, what's that? I never know what I will find to eat where we go. So I better be prepared. Let's be frank. We are living in Germany, so there are supermarkets everywhere around the corner. We will find, every time we will find something to eat. But it's that deep inside anxiety, I need to be prepared, and if I'm not prepared, I may end up in a situation that I can't control. Controlling is really something in living with PKU, and that is something that husbands can support, but still also the husband must be clear that they have a personality as well and cannot only give. That's not working in a relationship. It's also the other way around. So in fact, living with a wife with PKU is great if that give and take thing really works. I think that's key. Talking about control in PKU, absolutely independent from my wife, because as I said, when I met her she was already 16, but the control issue starts within the first second. And the phone rings and the doctor is on the phone and says something is wrong with a whatever phenylalanine level. I have no clue what that is, but you should better go to the university hospital. They are waiting for you. That's the very first moment in the life of a mother with a PKU child, having that feeling of losing control. And it's really hard to regain that control, and it really needs something. We observe many patients or parents of patients who have been through that situation, and still after years they have kind of stress disorder symptoms, not to say trauma, which have never been diagnosed, they have never been supported, and these are things that pass on to the baby. So just imagine mom is afraid of feeding. How should the child growing up not being afraid of eating? And if food for me is something that is sustainable, that is joy, that is taste, for my wife, she learned that food is a health threat. That's a different perspective. When I look at a great fine dining dish and I think, wow, that will be a taste explosion, she starts calculating how much fee is in it. So that's a total different perspective. So that's the very first moment. Losing control and regaining that control is difficult. And then it continues. Mom is starting to feed the baby, introducing the diet. Just having learned something, the nutrition behavior of the baby changes. From breastfeeding to bottle to porridge to solid food. So it's continuous learning, and it's continuously losing control. Things change. I have to adapt to new things and develop further. And then the fever infections kick in, the Phe values go up and down, and you are not in control and you have no clue what to do. Regaining control is always an issue. Going to school, 6 years old, suddenly being bullied, feeling hopeless, not being in control of the situation, never have learned about the tools how to stay strong and how to be resilient with that. Continuing adulthood, young adulthood, going out for dinner, always having people around that ask you, what can we do, where can we go, that you are happy. That's a strange feeling. These are friends that want to do the best for you, but do you always want to be the one in the spotlight, the one that everything is like the center of the universe, that everything is turning around? Losing control, regaining control, and maintaining control is something that really is a theme that goes from day one to the very last day through life of a PKU patient, his parents, his sisters or brothers, and so on. That's really something, and I think that's an aspect that is largely overlooked and not really recognized how important control over your own life, over your own situation is, and it's something that is sometimes, quite often, at risk for PKU patients. People always think that the PKU diet, the nutritional therapy, is about keeping control over the Phe levels, and that is really happening in all-day life, but it's much more than just controlling Phe levels. It's really that feeling of losing control, of losing the ground under your feet in some situation, and that really depends on the resilience and on the very, very early days of the patients, how they cope with the diet and how they accept their PKU as something that belongs to them but doesn't rule their life. And that's the difficult thing here. So mental health issues are coming to the surface, are crashing the surface. More and more people consider these things. I'm not a scientist, I do not have the literature about that, but I really, it's my hypothesis is that this issue of losing control, regaining control and maintaining control is really something that we should look into more carefully and search for the good instruments that can support people with PKU to not have that feeling of losing control and to stay in control to that extent that is necessary. Of course, she experienced kind of feelings of like isolation and so on, because it's not just a simple thing to just participate in social life and so on, as many of us always say in our daily lives. We have to kind of organize so much, we have always kind of prepare things, and you don't always have that time, and more than that, you do not always like to do that. Sometimes you're just fed up, and so that are the moments when you think, okay, that's not fun, I don't feel fine. And of course there are some days that are bad days, and there are tears, and there's, god damn this shitty PKU. But yeah, who of us non-PKUs has always good days? The question is, how often does it appear? And that depends on the individual again. Christine has always been lucky. She's, as I said, she's really one who has a high level of resilience, who is very strong, competitive if needed, kindly if possible. She can be really tough. So she has the ammunition to defend herself when she needs it. But some don't. Many don't, I think. Many have that issues that they can quickly feel isolated when they recognize things are not going like they should go normally. It's not normal life. The question is there an unmet need? N means one. Forget it. Hundreds. Where to start, where to stop. I have already explained the issue of when the phone rings and the diagnosis pops in, and the psychosocial issues, psychoeducational issues. That is the first unmet needs. It should be in newborn screening guidelines that parents need assistance and support until it's safe that they are coping with the diagnosis in a good way. They have overcome that valley of disbelief, of tears, of grief for the healthy child, coming into the phase to welcoming the child with the disease and then moving into an action mode. As long as that doesn't happen, they need support. And then it continues. School life, early teenage years, puberty. Puberty is when parents become embarrassing. We all know that. But for parents, it's super difficult to let go an individual that you put so many efforts in to raise it up healthy. Every day, 3 times a day, you start considering, is that what I do healthy to my child? Is it healthy to my baby? And when this girl or boy is 16 and suddenly says, I go to McDonald's, that's like a knife in your stomach. That's not fun. So there are so many unmet needs, and when they continue into adult life, just having that diet is associated with so many burdens. Eating is something that belongs to our social life. Can you imagine having a job and you are invited for a business dinner, for a barbecue? You need to explain. Do you always want to explain yourself and be kind of the ape in the zoo where everybody looks at? And then probably someone does a research and finds awkward literature like individuals with PKU are all mentally retarded. We have to rewrite the story of PKU every day, and we need to talk about these unmet needs. It's going way beyond mortality or morbidity. That doesn't change whether you have a good treatment option or just the diet or whatever. That doesn't change. Mortality doesn't change. Morbidity doesn't change. But the unmet needs, these little details that are not seen, they have to be seen, and we have to write these stories again new day by day. And it's absolutely a misleading interpretation or a false interpretation. It's fake news, effectively, to say it like that. It's fake news to say PKU is a solved issue, a solved problem of pediatric healthcare. It's not enough just to have a diagnosis and to have a truly effective nutritional therapy. Starting with nutritional therapy, naming it the diet. Diet is for fashion. As long as we talk about the diet, people don't take this serious. They don't know it, so it's a diet, it's about fashion. What's the problem? This individual looks healthy, this diet helps, handicaps are prevented, everything is okay, problem solved. What do they need? We should change our language, we should have the right words in place. It's not a diet, it's a nutritional therapy. It's to prevent us from the symptoms of mental disabilities. So if we use that medical technical language, society, policymakers probably will listen to us and understand that this is an issue that belongs to healthcare, that needs to be sorted. On the other side, it's super difficult for patients to do that, because that means to accept there's a disease, not a metabolic precondition or constitution. It's a disease. And to accept that for the rest of the life, that's really something. So mental health is a huge unmet need in PKU. We experience anxieties. We see people not being able to maintain relationships, not being able to maintain with a job on a long perspective, getting exhausted too early, losing concentration when Phe levels go up, the feeling of guilt that kicks in when you can't cope with the diet. So there's so much that need to be improved, and sorry to say that, Horst Bickel and Sheila Jones and her mother did a tremendously great job to find that nutritional therapy back in 1953, 54. That is 70 years ago. And since 70 years we are doing the diet. Sheila Jones would be 75 years just on October 1st, 2024. She would have celebrated her birthday if she would still be with us. She is not. But I think she would love to see that her life experience had an impact, and that new generations do not need to have that obstacles and have better care and better treatment options in place that could help to reduce these unmet needs. Probably we can't get them off and bring them away unless we finally will once have a curative therapy, but I think that's way down the road. That takes many ages. For in between we just need improvement. The European Society for Phenylketonuria E.S.PKU for short, and allied disorders, not to forget them. We are a European umbrella organization for national and regional PKU patients organizations from all across Europe. We are not EU-centric, so we cover something like 36 countries currently, with something like 41 or 42, I have to look it up, member associations. So we really have grown. This association has been founded by a few parents, a couple of parents, one British, one German, one Belgian, in a little tiny garden in Belgium back in 1985, so 39 years ago this year. And since then it has developed and it has grown. And what is the E.S.PKU doing? Well, as I said, we are an umbrella organization, so it's not the patients, the individuals that are our E.S.PKU members. It is their patients' organizations. So we are very much working on advocacy. We try to help our organizations, our member organizations on the ground to approach policymakers and to advocate for a change, to advocate for improvement, to advocate for access, to advocate for their unmet needs, which are our unmet needs as a collective community. We are going to Brussels, we are writing policy papers. We have been the ones, which was quite unusual, who initiated the first European phenylketonuria guidelines. Usually guidelines are initiated by professional organizations, physicians organizations and so on. Certainly it was the patients who said, it's not understandable that in France PKU individuals are treated differently than in the UK, than in Germany, than in whatever country. PKU is quite the very same wherever you live. So why is that? So we published a paper something like 10 years ago about the minimum requirements on PKU care from a patient's perspective, and the call to action was, we need uniform guideline for all over Europe. And so our scientific advisory committee took the challenge, accepted the challenge, and brought together experts from many European countries, not by we need to have one from each country, but with expertise. Who are the leading scientists in the PKU arena available? And they collected them and brought them together, and they worked hard to produce the first guidelines, which then have been published. And they are now working hard to get a first update over the line. That is something that we do. So we create and we initiate research, because after the first guidelines have been published, more than 700 extra studies and extra papers have been published on PKU. So exceeding excessive research, more than in the 8 years before. That is new knowledge that we can build into our treatment systems. So we try to help improving the healthcare environments for PKU patients. Other than that, we work on very practical things, like traveling with PKU. Just consider you want to cross border with something like 15 kilogram of white powder in cans. That can start awkward discussions with the customs and with the border controls. So we have created the E.S.PKU metabolic passport some 10 years ago, created and initiated by some patients who came together at an E.S.PKU conference in Belgium. And after 10 years' time, we recognized that some of the disease descriptions there, it's not just about PKU, it's also about homocystinuria, MSUD, tyrosinemia, and all these allied disorders. We have learned that in 10 years, treatment has developed, disease knowledge has developed, so we needed to do an update. And we received some support from an industry, from PTC Therapeutic, to help us bringing this to the forefront, and we created an update. So now we have a new E.S.PKU metabolic travel passport, and we think it will be again a super seller. It will be just go away. I have already 20 emails after one day. I have already 20 emails on my inbox, want to have the passport, where can I get it? So these are the things that we're doing. We are reaching out to other organizations in the rest of the world. We try to help Morocco to bring newborn screening over the line. They are that short about having it. Everybody agrees we need it, but no one starts it. So if it's us to bring that momentum in the discussion, someone needs to start it. We are happy to do. So these are the things that we really want to do. So there is really an additional benefit in joining the E.S.PKU as an organization, because we can bring together several different perspectives, help the organizations to do their advocacy work on the ground, to help them helping their members in getting better care, and to providing a communication platform where they can meet and share experience and learn. We have had in this conference, we just had an educational program about how we can best use ChatGPT and other AI to ease our workload, because we all are, except me, but most of us are volunteers. And just to add something on the guidelines that we have initiated, it's not just initiating guidelines and supporting them to be published. We also follow up to what extent they have been implemented. So you could ask the hospitals, so did you implement the European guidelines into your practice? Probably you will have different answers, as if you ask the patients what they are told by their metabolic physicians, and to figure out whether that meets the guideline statements and the guideline recommendation, yes or no. And we have done a deep investigation in that with a great survey, 670 plus returns. We are currently evaluating the data, and we try to publish the results again, to highlight to what extent these guidelines have had an impact on the treatment of patients. So not only on initiating research, but also did it really change for the better the treatment system and the treatment situation for the patients on the ground. So that is something. Another thing that we do is we try to support our members to have the best tools available to use their scarce time most efficiently, because they all are working on a voluntary basis. They have their day jobs, they have their families, they have their regular life issues, and they work, to say it like this, they really work their ass off to improve the life of PKU communities. So what can we do to support them? And this year we have done an educational workshop on how to use ChatGPT and other AI tools to help them in communication and in agenda setting and in campaign building and stuff like that. Really interesting, really innovative. Just to give you an example, if I read an 8-page scientific paper and I think that is something I should inform our members about, that is something that they should know, I would need to translate it from German into English, need to understand it, need to summarize it, rewrite it into an understandable language for people that are not into research language, and then get it published. That would probably take me something like 3-4 intensive working days. With AI, it may take me 20 minutes. So that's time use in an efficient way. That's the way we think we can, as E.S.PKU, support our member organizations to be better off and to be more efficient and more effective, and to really focus on what's important in their country. That's what we try to do, being just a tool for them to improve. What is my hope for the future? Hope is really a good word, because that is really something. When industries and researchers develop new treatment options, payers look at it from a financial perspective, doctors look at it from, oh, can we provide another tool to our patients? Dietitians look at it from a caregiver's perspective. Parents and patients look at it from a totally different perspective. For them, innovation means hope. Simply said, 4 letters, HOPE, hope. Innovation means improvement for the future. That means ease of therapeutic burdens, ease of the burdens of the disease. So whenever there's a new thing in the pipelines, that creates hope. This hope comes with a responsibility, yes, for sure. We must explain to our members, to the patient, that not all the projects will be successful, and some of these hopes will not become reality. But still it's worth to continue with that, and it's worth to every day again give emphasis in this, and we are really grateful for researchers, for industries, putting their money, their knowledge, their efforts into providing that hope to our communities.